All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the introductory episode of the Audible Farm podcast. This is your host. My name is Peter Stockdale. I will be leading you through some of my adventures in the upcoming travels I have across the state, playing music for bands such as Three Finger Betty, Unity, and occasionally doing off shows with a band I call the Stockyard. And that is a band where I just throw together some local musicians I have, and we just do a one-off show. And that's on the off chance that somebody asks me to do a show, and Unity and Three Finger Betty are unavailable, or maybe there's a chance that Three Finger Betty might not be exactly the perfect band, I guess you could say, to play one of those kind of shows due to some of the adult content. But in any case, I've played guitar for maybe 12 or 13 years, give or take. I started when I was about 16 or 17, and I started a band in high school with a couple friends of mine. And after high school, I didn't play too much guitar. I essentially just put it down for about 5 years or so, and somewhere in the last 4 or 5 years, I started picking it back up again with a friend of mine here in town, and we started playing some guitar. And let me shout out to Dan Blair. We started playing some guitar together and starting to figure out how to put music theory to a guitar and actually figure out how to play the damn thing. So that was kind of a nice, a nice little refreshing moment in my life when I could start to figure out exactly how music was happening and what exactly was happening when this guy's going to solo in the key of E and yada yada yada. Just any of those kind of things always seemed kind of foreign to me when I was first starting. And then once I had looked up enough different formulas that people had created, I was comfortable enough to go out and try it on my own. And when I was in high school, I started a band with some friends of mine, and the drummer um, that we had a scholarship to play football. His name was Jake Short. So we ended up picking up another drummer from town, and his name was Clint Blumker. A lot of people out there in the music world probably know him as the drummer from Dark Mirror for about 10 years. He drummed for Dark Mirror for quite a while, and while he was drumming for them, it was kind of my way to put my foot in the door and go watch a bunch of really cool bands play all the shows. I never thought I was like up to par to play with any of these guys because of how good they were. But one of the things that definitely kind of got me out of that thought process was playing guitar with Dan here in town. And him and I were kind of in the same boat. He didn't play too much guitar after high school until somebody had asked him if he wanted to play in a band, and he started playing a little bit more. And I'm sure I'll do a podcast with him later so he can elaborate a little bit more on that. But my first big break after starting to pick up the guitar again came as the guitarist for Three Finger Betty. Three Finger Betty is John Waugh, Clint Blumker, and Jeff Furch. Sorry about that noise. They were a three-piece, and we're kind of looking to fill out their sound, so they got a hold of me and asked me if I could go out and play some shows with them. So I ended up learning all their songs and played some music with them. Oh, let's see here. It probably was 2017. The beginning of 2017, I joined Three Finger Betty, and we did about 30 shows that year. And I kind of caught the eye of a couple other guitar players in town and was asked to join the band Unity. And earlier this year, I played my first show with the metal band Unity. Shout out to Sean and Alonzo, our new drummer Clint, who just joined Unity, and also our new bassist Marco. Shout out to Marco. But those are my current goings on. To some people that are a little bit more familiar with what Audible Farm is, I had originally started it out as a way to record bands as I saw them live around town. If I had the extra time, I would set up a video recorder and an audio recorder, and then I would sync the two and clip them all apart and put them up on YouTube on the Audible Farm YouTube channel. I started doing that for Three Finger Betty just pro bono and started stacking a bunch of videos on the Three Finger Betty page. But then I started thinking, why don't I just record other bands while I have the equipment already set up anyways? So I got a hold of some other bands and asked them if they would be okay with me putting their videos on YouTube. And most of them said yes. So, naturally I was like, well, I can't put these on the Three Finger Betty page. And I had a personal page, but I thought, let's just stack it on a new page and see if people can kind of tag on to it as the place to go find all that live music on YouTube. That doesn't sound like it was just recorded with a cell phone in the front row. And it doesn't sound, I was always kind of sad when I turned on a video on YouTube. And I'm guilty of doing it too, but uploading a video of a band and it's just, you click on it to listen to it and it's just go, 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 go. It's just horrible, horrible stuff. So I tried to avoid that at all costs, and I think I did a pretty good job. I'm definitely no sound engineer. I'm no audio, video technician of any sort. I don't have any background to do any of this stuff. This is all just kind of off the cuff. I'm learning as I go. I'm just kind of buying modestly priced equipment and seeing how well it works out. For example, this podcast is done with a Focusrite Scarlett, and I'm using a MacBook, but I will also probably end up going portable with some of my interviews. I'll probably end up using a Tascam DR40, but that's yet to be seen. So we'll see what happens. I definitely will hopefully try to get more interviews with people as I see them at shows. I want to do a lot of sit-down interviews where we can sit down with the laptop and get the Focusrite plugged in. We can get two people on headsets and a couple of microphones and actually sit down and have a conversation with people. Maybe say like who people's favorite influences are. For example, I grew up playing a lot of punk music, but I started turning towards metal music, stuff that's in the thrash area, kind of like Megadeth type stuff. I was also pretty fond of playing Iron Maiden. That doesn't necessarily signify my style of playing so much, whereas my style of playing is really rooted in blues, because I found out that, I live kind of in the middle of nowhere, so if I wanted to play music with people around here, a lot of times it ended up having to be blues, because a lot of the population was older, or if I wanted to play publicly, that's what would be most accepted. So I started taking on the blues scene a little bit, and I enjoy it quite a bit because it's some of my favorite stuff to play, and everybody seems to enjoy it, so it's pretty nice. But, just finding out, like, if I find, like, seasoned musicians, I can ask them, say, like, where have you played? Where are some of the coolest places you've played with? Who are some of the neatest bands you've played with? Who are some of the nicest guys you've played with? What are some of the biggest obstacles you face as a musician going into other cities, or et cetera, et cetera. I'm not here to get anybody's toes stepped on, but I am also going to give people a platform to speak their minds if they wish to. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, is just get everybody a little bit more familiar with the musicians around their areas, the people that make the music go. I'm going to try to talk to different promoters, people at music shops that own guitar shops, to try to get them a little bit more publicity. As of now, I don't have any sponsors. I probably will take some if somebody wanted some, but that will be definitely a down the road situation. So if anybody has any suggestions, or maybe perhaps wants to end up doing some sponsoring of some sort with us, you can contact us at audiblefarm@gmail.com. That is audiblefarm@gmail.com. But I definitely think this is going to be something fun for most people that are involved. I hope a lot of people get behind it. If you are listening to this and you think it's enjoyable, go ahead and subscribe, or whatever you got to do. Find a podcast number. It'll be probably titled Podcast 1, because this is just the introductory podcast. But make sure you listen to the next one. I'm trying to nail down a few people to interview here. Some people local to my area. Other people will be more close to the Des Moines area, because I live in northern Iowa. But it's going to be a smattering of all different types of people. I mean, I would love ultimately to try to get some interviews with some people from out of state if they'd be willing, or maybe contact some of the better known musicians that I play with sometimes occasionally. For example, the guys at Night Demon, played a show with them last year, and that was an amazing show. We ended up talking to some of those guys after the show, and that it's just kind of a fun experience to see traveling bands that you actually really enjoy their music. Another good one would be Bewitcher. Played a show with them earlier this year. That show was insane. I listened to a little bit of their music before the show, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into for a live show wise, because that was tons of fun. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. This is just a small introductory episode, but I want to say thank you for everybody that is listening, and thank you to everybody that has supported me for all of the things that I've done. I'm just trying to help out every musician that I see, because I'm beginning to see that everybody works many, many long hours alone trying to get their music stylings right and trying to get their songs right, so that way when they show up to rehearsals they can finish the songs off and play them for you live. There's a lot of time that goes into a 3-minute song or a 4-minute song, or however long these songs are that people are writing. There's a lot more time that goes into it than you think. Some musicians, could spend weeks and weeks and weeks writing ass songs. So it's definitely just something I want to shed some light on the struggles and the sorrows and the jubilations of people around me, and just give them kind of a platform to showcase their talents, because I definitely am not the most talented person that I run into on a daily basis in the music scene. That is for darn sure. But I do think that these people need somebody to stand up and say, look at how awesome this person is. I even know a lot of really talented musicians that aren't even in bands that deserve a shot to be in a band, and maybe we can hook some people up with some people in a band here. You never know. So thank you very much to everybody that's doing the listening. Look out for the first episode. Should be coming up next week, or maybe even by the end of the week. So we'll see what's going on. If anybody's got any shows they want me to help them promote, go ahead and shoot me an email at audiblefarm@gmail.com. Just tell me your band name and where the show's at and when it is, etc. I'll do my best to promote everything for everybody on the show. Do the best I can. I can't promise anything. But thank you guys very much for all you've done for me, and I hope to continue to do a bunch of great things for you guys. Don't forget to go to Audible Farm on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel. You'll have to search for it because there's not a dedicated link for it. We also do have a Facebook page. You can search for Audible Farm. Just look for our logo. It's there. We have a Twitter page. We have an Instagram. Our Instagram is relatively unused at the moment, but we're going to try and get that fired up soon. Our Twitter is used occasionally. Sometimes we get tweets from people. Love to hear from you guys, so go ahead and tweet us if you have any cool shows. We'll retweet them. Just let us know. Otherwise, yeah, you can get in contact with us via email. That would probably be the best bet for now. But yeah, keep those Twitters coming in. I love to hear from people on Twitter. It's always tons of fun. All right, have a good weekend, everybody. Go see some shows. Let me know what you saw. All right, bye.